Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. Today what I'm going to be doing is enriching the soil in my greenhouse beds. Now if you watch my video on when I was building my greenhouse, I did a video on putting the beds in. For the soil, I mixed in 1 part of my native soil, which was a certain area of my property where it's wet mostly in the winter time, and it's very nutrient dense. A lot of microorganisms going on there, and bacteria and stuff like that, like a lot of that growth going on. So the soil down there is much darker compared to the soil here where it's very red. I got a lot of iron in my soil. So 1 part of my native soil, 1 part mushroom compost I put in, 1 part horse manure, aged horse manure. It was composted and aged for well over a year. Wood chips, broken down wood chips. It was basically composted wood chips is what it was, very broken down. It just looked like fluffy dirt is what it looked like. Also, what was it, a year or so ago, I did a video on composting hay and chicken manure. I got that hay and chicken manure and I put it in a different area here. I also added some mulched up leaves that I took from around my property with my leaf vac. That was composting for a better part of a year. I took that, also mixed it in, so it's 5 different ingredients I have in those greenhouse beds. Now what I want to add is Azomite. Azomite is not like rock dust. Rock dust is a glacial from glacial rock dust, and this here is from volcanic ash. This has more minerals in it. Now, and for those of you who have heard that rock dust and Azomite doesn't work, it does work, but there's something missing. And what the missing ingredients is, you have to have bacteria, lots of bacteria in the soil. Because without bacteria, your plants cannot absorb the minerals. So how do bacteria do it? What they do is, bacteria release an enzyme, like an acid, okay? When they come up against an organic material that they want to consume, they release this enzyme or this acid, and it breaks down that organic material so they can consume it. In the process, they release that enzyme in the surrounding area where the bacteria is. It's also breaking down the minerals that's in the soil. So when it comes in contact with the minerals, it breaks the minerals down into a form that the plants can absorb. Okay, so that's the only way plants absorb minerals from the soil, is when there's enough bacteria activity going on in and around the soil, the root system. Also here, I have 5 pounds of earthworms. Earthworms are the most wonderful thing that God has created for the soil because they burrow their way into the soil, okay? So they aerate the soil. They eat up all the composted material, or composted and organic material in the soil, and they leave their wonderful poop, is basically what it is, worm castings. And it's super concentrated, and that's what the plants love. So, and also this will build up the bacterial growth in the soil and feed the root systems. Will break down this minerals here, break them down and feed them to the plants. So that's what we're going to do today. So let me show you how to do that. Alright, so what we're going to be doing here is adding the Azomite to the soil here. Now Azomite, you can get it in a powder form, or I got it in its granulated. And what it is they get the powdered form and they make it into little granules. And I think they use molasses to keep it bound together. And if you can see here, this is what it looks like. So they do recommend putting like a ½ pound per, I think it was 100 square feet. If you go to their website, it'll say there's a list of things, how much you put in your garden soil, how much you put per row of whatever you're planting. or they just say just to broadcast it. So that's basically what we're going to be doing. We're just going to be sprinkling it on the top, and then I'm going to be raking it in the first, you know, a couple inches of it into the soil, because as you're watering, these granules will break down, and it'll become more like the dust that it was. And when the bacteria come in contact with this stuff here, they break it down into a form that your roots can use. Your plants will absorb it, and then when you eat the vegetables, your body will absorb those minerals. Now, this is not a fertilizer per se, like you know, like your regular NPK, your nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Plants need more than NPK. Now, that's the ones that they want more abundantly. Okay, they want more of that. But they also need all the other trace minerals and other minerals that are in here. So the only way you're gonna get that in your soil and assure yourself that you're getting them is to put them in yourself. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna be doing here, and every little bit helps. So we are going to get ourselves a little cup here, and I'm just going to sprinkle it on the top here like this. And then we're going to get our rake and just work it in. Now this is very, very dry right now because it doesn't rain in here. So what I'm going to do is a few days, or actually a week or two before I start planting, actually now, because I'll be planting in here in another couple of weeks, keep the soil, we're going to keep the soil moist by watering it often. So as far as the minerals here, it's that easy. Just sprinkle it on top, and then work it in a little bit with your rake into the soil, and as you're watering it, all that will start, the granules will start breaking down into their powder form that it was, and once the earthworms and the bacteria start working on them in the compost, it'll start feeding your plants. All right, so this is the last bed that I'm mixing the minerals in. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is I got to water this really, really good. Make sure it soaks down really good, because we're going to be putting our worms in here. And since this is all composted organic material for the most part, it's going to hold water, but yet it's going to drain really well. The worms will enjoy this because this is what they eat, and they'll leave me some wonderful gifts behind. And they will multiply. So this handful or so of worms that I'm throwing in here will multiply greatly. And if you watch my videos when I was putting these beds in, I left the bottom open. So underneath these beds, there isn't any weed barrier cloth. I have very hard clay here, so there's not many worms in the topsoil, but there is. I don't have much of a topsoil, there's only maybe an inch of it, if that. I do see worms in my yard occasionally. They're very small, and so whatever worms that I do have in this natural soil here will come up underneath also. Once they see that there's all organic material here, they will come up from underneath. Okay, so let's water this down real good, and we're going to put our worms in. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is water this really good. Now you got to make sure the hose hasn't been sitting out in the sun for all day. And you don't want to put boiling hot water on there. So we want to just wet it down real good. And I'm just going to do this to the rest of them. Just soak it really, really good. That way when the worms go in the ground, they don't just go in a few inches and hit a dry spot again. They want to go down and eat up all that organic material. And from now on, so probably every day or every other day, I'm going to be watering this just to let it soak in real good. So the entire bed, plus probably the ground underneath, is wet also. It'll drain. We don't want to get it too wet, of course, because the worms don't like that either, and they'll want to escape and get out. We just want it wet, moist, put it that way. We just want to soak it down real good now to get it nice and moist all the way through. All right, so here is my 5 pounds of worms. Now there should be 5 pounds of worms in here, plus their bedding, which is probably some kind of composted, probably peat moss or something. So let's open this up. And a zip tie. Put that there. Put this away before I cut myself. Oh, we got one little guy out. Oh, well, he didn't make it. He's out here. Oh, they're alive, all right. Let me open this up so you can see. They are definitely in peat moss. See if I can dig some. Oh yeah, they're all in the middle here. There's a little baby. Put that on there. Now they don't like the sunlight. And there's one there. There's another one. Yeah, they don't like the sunlight. So I'm going to have to dig through here and find them all, because there should be like a big clump of them somewhere. There they are. Okay, I found them. You see them all? Yeah, my hand's moving now. Okay, so we got to put those in the bed. All right, guys, so what I'm going to do is find that. Oh yeah, there's a whole bunch down here at the bottom. I'm just going to get a small handful. I don't know how far this 5 pounds is going to go. I'm going to sprinkle these over here like that, and they're going to start working their way into the soil. Now they're about halfway buried themselves already. I'm going to help them along a little bit and kind of cover them up because it is pretty hot out here. So that's basically what I'm going to do, a small handful on each bed until I finish this whole bag out. If I need more, I'll order some more. Well, man, I had that figured out just about right. Just a small handful per bed worked out pretty darn good. So that's what I'm going to do now is whatever I have left in here, most of it is just peat moss, but I can't feel any clumps of worms anymore down in there. So whatever's left of this peat moss, I'm just going to spread it out with the rest of them, and whatever worms fall in there. And then I'm going to moisten them up a little bit, water the worms, because this stuff is moist, but it's not that moist. And I'm going to cover this up and help them out a little bit. They've been in the mail for 3 days, 2 or 3 days, and they were at the post office for a day. So they need a little waking up. Once they get back in the dirt or in the soil here, they'll be just fine. All right, so the worms are in their new homes. I had a few of them that were wandering around exploring the area, but the majority of them went into the ground and they are buried. So when I first put them in, I did sprinkle some soil on them because it is kind of sunny in here and I didn't want them to get heated up too much. They don't like sunlight, they don't like the heat, and they don't like to be dry or too wet. It has to be just perfect for them. So the soil is moist now. They're going to get away from the sunshine and the heat to bury themselves into the soil more. They're going to do their job in here by eating the organic material, leaving their wonderful worm castings behind, and feeding the soil. Also the azomite, and like I said earlier, the bacteria in the soil will release their enzyme or their acid and break down the organic matter, and in them doing that, that enzyme also breaks down the minerals that are around the bacteria in the soil, and they put in a form where the plants can absorb, and that's how the plants become tasty, delicious, and very healthy looking. And that's how you feed your body with good, nutritious vegetables. I guess that's about it, guys. So I'm going to put a link in the description to the Azomite. The worms I got at Texas Worm Farm. If you can find a closer area in your state, I would look for that. But try to find a worm farm that's in your state. That way they won't stay in the mail very long. So I did find a few of them that were dead. What you don't want is for them to be in the mail for 2-3 days, sit on your porch all day right in the blazing sun, and expect them to be alive. It's not going to happen. So as soon as you get them out of the box and put them where they need to be. Keep them moist and full of organic material, and they'll be happy. Okay, and make sure that temperature is not too hot, of course. Alright guys, so that's about it. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video.